All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is. We got the one, the only, the legendary K-Rino of South Park Coalition right here live on the line. How are you doing this evening?
I'm blessed, man. Blessed and thankful to be on your platform, man. I really appreciate you.
I gotta say thank you, Reno, for just taking some time out to come on the radio station. We had Murder One on last night, another phenomenal individual of the South Park Coalition. I'm gonna be honest with you, I did not know how big SPC truthfully was. Like I realized there was over 200 and something members. I honestly thought you guys were just a group of Texas artists, man. So it really blew my mind to learn that last night.
Oh yeah, man. We've been around since 1987, man. So over the course of those decades, we have gained a lot of new members from all over the world. We got people in different countries, different cities, states. So yeah, you know, they just people know a few of us, the guys who kind of got out there a few years back. But as if you do the research, you'll see it's like Murder said, it's probably over 200 of us all together.
And also, I want to take you back to the beginning of your career, and I know it was a substantial amount of years ago, but what actually made you decide to get into the music industry initially?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a fan of just music in general all my life, just growing up listening to the old school R&B classics and all that. So when hip hop first started to make itself seen, probably in the late 70s as far as radio was concerned, with Sugar Hill Gang and Curtis Blow and guys like that, I just fell in love with it. And it took me about 3 or 4 years before I finally decided to give it a try on my own and start writing, probably in like 1983. And since then, I've been hooked on it. And here I am, almost 40 years later almost, and I'm still doing it.
And also, in the mid-1980s, you were actually a member of the group by the name of Real Chill. I was wondering if you can tell us the story behind that group, and of course, how did you meet the other members?
Yeah, we all went to school together, and I mean, all the way back from middle school up into high school, we were just with different crews, different groups, and solo at certain points. So once we kind of got to know each other and became friends, then the transition as far as music was pretty easy, and we just came together and decided to do the three-man thing, because the three-man group was big back then. You know, even if it was 3 rappers or 2 rappers and a DJ. So me, myself, and GT and Preppy J, we just got together and gave it a shot. Was able to get in the studio, make a few records, and set our place in Houston. That's probably one of the top first 5 groups to actually put out an actual recording out of the city as far as rap goes.
And with SPC, was any members of Real Chill actually in SPC, or was those 2 completely separate groups with different members?
Oh yeah, no. At the time, yeah, absolutely, because like I said, I started South Park Coalition in '87, and that's the same year that the Real Chill record dropped. And so anybody that was affiliated with me was automatically in the SPC. You know, I just like, hey, I'm indoctrinating y'all in. So yeah, they were definitely SPC. You know, I always carry a rule that, you know, we like the mob. Once you get in, you can't get out. So absolutely.
And also, in 1986, you actually did some rap battles with Gangsta Nip. I was wondering if you tell us a bit more about what made you decide to get into the rap battling side of things, and of course, like, how long were you doing rap battling, and are you still doing it today?
Yeah, well, you know, the battle rap thing was just natural. That's just what you naturally did. That came before anything. The first time I ever rapped in front of a crowd of people was in a battle. You know, so it was just so competitive in our city. Houston was such a competitive city, even long before we were industry oriented, that everybody wanted to prove that they were better than the next guy. So anytime you would see any rappers at any of the local talent shows or anything of that nature, it was just an on-site type of understanding that we had. And whoever's name was ringing and was supposed to be the best, if they were in the same room, then you got to prove it. So yeah, I was battling years before I ever set foot into a studio. That's basically how I built my name up, was battle rapping. And Murder One used to he used to find ran some of my battles. You know, when we would rap against guys for money. You know, he put the money up for me, and whoever was working with the other guy would put the money up for them, and we just went around the city going at it. As far as me and Nip, it was the same scenario. Our names were two of the names that were ringing the most on the South Side, and it just was one of those situations where it was a bubble that had to pop. The tension was getting too high, and a lot of words were being exchanged, so we just had to square it off and make it happen. And it was a beautiful thing because it allowed us to gain that respect for each other, and it also opened the door after the battle, and when we became friends, to bring in all of the rappers that he had in his crew into the South Park Coalition, and that made us stronger. But now I don't battle. I haven't battled in years, man. I haven't battled in a while, and people ask me all the time if it's something I still do, or if it's something that I would be interested in doing. And because you know they got all the battle leagues and all that now, but you know it would take a significant amount of money for me to really just get into that arena, because I don't have the heart and the love for it like that on the battle side anymore, like I used to. I feel like I don't have anything to prove like that.
And one thing I do want to ask, more on the topic of battle rapping. I'm sure you already been on social media and saw everybody is doing versus battles and whatnot. But in my personal opinion, they're not really like actual battle where you're disrespecting each other. It's just comparing music. Would you ever be interested in doing that sort of thing with like another artist from like Texas, or another artist that you kind of grew up working alongside?
Well, it would depend on how the market for it would shape up, because you know typically the rule of thumb with the versus battles is basically based on artists who have a lot of known and familiar hits, and that's not my thing. I don't have just songs that everybody knows or just songs that everybody can sing along, because we never got a radio play like that. So it would just depend on how it would be marketed, because it wouldn't make any sense to do a versus battle and people tuning in and not even really knowing who's battling or not even familiar with the song. So I mean, I don't know how that would work.
And you know what? That makes a lot of sense as well. You know, a lot of these independent artists, they're trying to do this whole versus battle type thing, and they don't. And no offense, they just don't really have a lot of hits, so it doesn't really take off. So you know, you just summed it up right to a T right there.
Yeah, I mean, it has to make sense. You know, if I decide to do a versus battle and whoever's watching, you know, I'm sure the fans of both artists would tune in. But it wouldn't make sense if it's other people watching and just they don't know who the guys are that's even participating in it, you know.
And as we spoke about earlier on, like about how SPC is such a huge coalition, the one thing I noticed as well that there is actually an SPC UK. I was wondering, could you tell us a bit more about South Park Coalition UK, and of course, how did the UK side of things come to be?
Yeah, basically, man, as we started to grow and we started to establish our name on an international level, then different artists from parts of the world would reach out to us. And one of the first artists to do that was a guy named Late, who's from Wolverhampton out in the UK. And we just developed a cool relationship, man, and we worked together on some songs, did some projects together. And they always showed love for us out in the UK and promoted and pushed our name out there through cross promotion and other avenues. So it just made sense that, like, you know what, we have an affiliate in that country, and by having an affiliate in that country, it's like, okay, well, let's just call it SPC UK, you know, and let's call it SPC Australia, SPC Germany. You know, if we have a serious connection in that city who reps for the team, then it can only help us to branch out and incorporate those people into our organization.
And I have to ask you as well, because like as you already know, like we're a Canadian radio station. So do you guys have like an SPC Canada? And if so, like, you know what I mean? If so or if not, like, would you ever consider like actually branching off into the Great White North?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to do that. We don't have an affiliate in Canada. We have a lot of well, I won't say a lot. We have a few fans in Canada. We have people who reach out to us and people that we communicate with that are from Canada, but we don't have an absolute affiliate out there who reps for the team like that. So, we don't put any restrictions on any country or any strip of land that wants to represent for the SPC. They just have to just abide by the principles that we stand for and get down for the grind and really be representative of the team. And hey, everybody's welcome if they down with that.
And also, I noticed as well that in 2003, you actually created your own record label called Black Book International. I was wondering, how did that label come to be? And of course, is it still going today?
Yeah, the label came to be because when we first started out, we started out independent. When my dad was financing my project, and we started out with our own label. So that's all I ever knew. And after we did the Real Chill project, I went solo. After a group venture in the early '90s, I went solo, and then me and my dad started a label called Electric City Records. Now, once my dad reached a point where he wasn't interested in doing the music anymore, I just decided to do it myself. So everybody knows me from carrying my black book with all my rhymes in it. Ever since school, that's what people know me by. So I just felt it was fitting. It made sense to just call my label Black Book International. And adding the international on there just speak to what me and you just got to talking about, just the affiliation and the access to the whole world. We're not restricting ourselves to just the landmass that we live in. We're putting this thing out for the whole world to be exposed to. So that's where the label name came from, and I just built it around that.
And I have to ask you, pertaining to Black Book International, like, who is currently signed to you today? Like, or is it just you as just you as a solo artist?
Yeah, it's just me as a solo artist, and I tell people all the time, because people will ask the question, hey man, are y'all signing anybody? Y'all signing anybody? And I just keep it real with people. I'm like, well man, I'm still an artist myself, and by not being a huge giant label with some giant budget, I would not do a disservice. I wouldn't want to do a disservice to any artist and try to sign them, and there's nothing I can really do for them. Plus I'm still concentrating on being an artist myself. So I feel like when an artist signs to a label, that's one of the problems that they have when there's an actual artist who's running the label while still trying to be an artist themselves. It takes away because they still trying to be out here shining and doing what they're doing. So you can't give the full attention to the guys you bring in, and I would never want to do anybody. Now, if I took a hiatus or just decided to set it down for a little while, and if I found somebody, even now, to be honest, if I was to come across an artist that I just believed in that much, then maybe I would go for it. But it hasn't been something that I've been interested in.
And I gotta say, that is completely understandable as well, and and I gotta say, mad respect that you actually, would say that, because so many individuals nowadays, they start a label, they're like, and then they sign a whole bunch of people to it, and they can't really budget it all. So I gotta say, Reno, like, that is some great advice for anybody that's listening that really does want to spark their own label.
Well, the thing is that a lot of those guys that do that, they're doing it just for the look. They just flexing, it's easy to stand in front of other people and say, yeah, man, I got a label, man. We got 10 artists on the label. We doing this, we doing that, but you're not bearing any fruit. Those seeds are not even, so you don't want to be that kind of person. I'd rather just do it myself and not have that obligation to anybody if I'm not able to fulfill it, rather than just trying to look the part and telling people you got a label and you got all these artists and all that. Reality, that you sign to a label and can't do anything more for you than you can do for yourself. It's guys that's running around here saying they got record labels and they can't even some of the artists on their labels are doing better than them, making more money than they are. So you got to just be aware of that and take care of your interests and be smart and not just be happy to say that you're affiliated or signed with somebody. Do it yourself if that's the case.
And also, Reno, jumping ahead in the timeline a little bit, the one thing I noticed that I think it was like 2016 around November, I remember that when you actually dropped 7 albums in one day. And the one thing I was always wondering and always wanted to ask you since that day was, what made you decide to release 7 albums all at once?
Yeah, man, as an independent artist, again, we don't have the major machines behind us. We don't have the big money, the big budgets behind us, and the marketing and promotion like that. So any artist with pride, I don't care what level you're on, one of your goals, other than making good music, should always be to try to make sure you do something in your career that nobody has ever done. You want to be able to lay claim to a legacy or something that nobody's ever done. So that was my thing. Once it kind of formulated, I was first just going to drop 100 songs at one time, and then I thought to myself, well, what would that be like to just break that down into albums? And then I changed it from 100 to 80-something songs, and when I did that, the math broke down to 7 albums if you put 12 songs on each album. So that's how that came about. But I really just wanted to be able to say that I did something that no other artist in any genre had ever done. And if they had done it, they cheated. In other words, they used music that they already had, or they had remixes and remakes on the project. All of my songs were made strictly for this project, and they were all organic. They were all fresh and new. So there was no shortcuts taken. And so anybody that comes behind me and does it or exceeds it, they would have to do it the same way I did it.
And also, I noticed as well that you actually have a book out called Behind These Bars, The Stories Behind the Words. I was wondering, what actually made you decide to venture into being an author? And of course, where can our listeners snag themselves a copy of your book today?
Yeah, actually, Behind These Bars is my latest book. I dropped the book earlier in 2020, in March, I believe, called Life Lessons and Lyrics. And that was more of an autobiographical piece, basically just talking about my upbringing and things I went through in life, and all the while doing music. Behind These Bars was just basically just explaining a lot of the stories of reasons why I wrote certain songs, certain lyrics, what was I thinking, different little backstories and all that. So that was why, because a lot of people have been asking me that for years, man, what made you write this? Why'd you say this? Why'd you do this? And it also gives certain little explanations and breakdowns of my writing process. Ways I create my sentences and things of that nature, my flow patterns and all that. And that's something that I know a lot of my fans would be interested in knowing. But also, even if you never heard of me, I think that book is really a great tutorial on how to improve as a writer, not just a rap writer, but as a writer, period. So if they want to get it, you can go to southparkcoalition.net, and you can order both of my books as well as any of my physical copy CDs as well.
And I have to say though, Reno, I have not had the opportunity to read your book yet, but I'm going to head on over to the website after this interview and snag myself a copy of your book, because I got to say, I'm actually really intrigued by that book, because me personally, I'm not a big reader, but I think I really want to give this book a try.
Oh man, I think it'll be a great move for anybody, because one thing I try to do with my first book, because I understand that a lot of people are not just avid readers like that, but the way I wrote it, the way I laid it out, makes it such an easy read that it wouldn't be tough for anybody to kind of just catch hold to it and grasp it and get into the story of it. Because even my first book, Life Lessons and Lyrics, I've had many people that have told me that they read the whole book in actually be upset when it's over with. You know, if it leaves you want more, then it's a good thing. So yeah, but also with Behind These Bars, you know, I would recommend that for any fan of rap because, like I say, it just gives you an opportunity to witness the breakdown of the bars and things of that nature. And you go into the whole process of how I construct my lyrics when I write, and I don't let a lot of people into my process like that. So.
And also, on December 18th of 2020, so roughly less than a month ago, you actually released the album A Long, Short Way. I have to ask you, what's the inspiration behind that phenomenal record? And of course, where can our listeners snag themselves a copy today?
Yeah, Long Short Way is my first album. I mean, my first album of 2020. And first or second, I can't remember. But what it was that, man, in the social climate that we're living in, you know, you got so much going on in America, man, with the civil unrest, the police brutality, and racism. And it just put me in a mindset of the journey that black people have been on since our arrival on this soil over 460 years ago. So throughout all of those decades and centuries, there have been strides that have been made. We have achieved certain goals and certain levels of progress have been made, but in reality, those levels of progress are not as far as they could have been had we taken different actions in terms of not begging to be integrated into a system that hates us and things of that nature. So we've come a long way, but it's really a short way in comparison to where we could have been had we unified earlier. So that's where the title comes from. If you want to get the album, because I did this album with my brother Big Pup, and we did just a joint collaboration on that, and we released it on his label. So you can get the album from PUDEmpire.com, or you can go on any of the digital platforms and order it as well.
And I gotta say as well, though, I actually had the opportunity to try to take a listen to that album, and I have to say it is absolutely phenomenal. I love how you guys actually keep the elements of the hip-hop culture alive through your music. You know, you guys keep it real, it's real, authentic beats, it's good music. You know, I wish that some individuals will keep, like, you know, this real sound from the 90s still in their music.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's what we came up on, and of course, we tried to incorporate modern music, modern sounds, and modern styles of hip-hop beats into our stuff as well. We're not just 100% trapped in the past, but that is our era. And for me, a lot of those sounds, that 90s sound, like you said, I'm still connected to that. I still have a lot of love for that sound. And if I hear a track today that has that sound incorporated into it, it makes me still want to rap on it. But I mix it up because Pup was like, well, man, hey, man, I know how you do it. I know how you get down. But I got some good producers, up-and-coming producers like Bowser and my other brother, I'm sorry, his name is escaping me right now. Cube, 3Cube, I think is his name. And they did the entire album with Bowser doing the majority. And he's such a great producer that it made it easy to write to his beats.
But I have to ask you, K-Rino, like, what is next for you? Is there any new projects, anything I happened to miss during this interview, anything else you still want to promote while we still have you here live on the Canadian airwaves?
Yeah, man. Well, thank y'all for having me. I appreciate being invited on y'all's platform, and I wish y'all the most success. But also, man, yeah, just be supportive of the underground. A lot of people, and I've said this before, a lot of people complain about the state of music, the state of hip-hop. They say it's no good rap music out. They say it's hard to find this and hard to find that. They're upset about commercial radio, mainstream rap. If you really feel like that, then take the time out to dig and research and find artists that are still true to the art form, that are still giving it to you 100% and not cheating and taking shortcuts, and out to research some rap you never heard of, and you won't have to worry about having the problem of the mainstream stuff getting on your nerves if that's how you feel.
But K-Rino, this is the time in the interview that I give a chance for the individuals that slide into the radio station airwaves. Just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to, but of course your social media handles as well. That way our listeners can stay updated on everything K-Rino and South Park Coalition if they're not already doing so.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. Like I say, first of all, thank God for the blessings. I appreciate all of His blessings that He's bestowed on me for all these decades, almost centuries, and I take that too. But if you want to check me out consistently, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, and it's The Real K-Rino on YouTube. It's The Real K-Rino on Twitter, and just Facebook. Anyway, I'm not on Instagram, but my presence is there on social media. But I would love for everybody listening right now to stop what they're doing now and go subscribe to my YouTube channel, and make sure that you check out all my videos, because I do a lot of life lesson stuff. I do a lot of music stuff too, but mainly just life lessons. So check me out.
And I gotta say, K-Rino, just quickly before we let each other go, thank you for years of amazing hip-hop, man. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I've been a fan of yourself and SPC for many, many years, man. So thank you for all the music that you shared with the world for many years, and I'm looking forward to listening to many more years of your new music as well.
Thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate the support, my brother.
You are most certainly welcome. Have yourself a wonderful night, and most definitely Happy New Year.
Already, same to you, brother.